我がサイコパワーにひれ伏せ。Come on, let's turn up the heat.
Round 1. Fight!
Hadouken!
Round 2. Fight!
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Mish-Mash Monday Street Fighter V Battle Lounge with the 2MK team. I have figured out how to turn on my sound this time, so you might in fact get the intended contemplations and discussions with myself, Kanzuki Dynasty, Rune Siren, and Just Fine.
Hello.
Who we can also hear on stream. Good stuff. Alright, I'll take it that the technical issues are currently resolved.
Round 1. Fight!
We have seen plenty of Street Fighter VI stuff coming around recently, and that has left us, just a little bit, looking back and thinking about how things are generally in terms of coming up on a game, coming up on 5 still, obviously, and maybe a little bit about what we might need to think about as 6 comes along, and basic concepts of the sort. Today in particular, we were considering how different tilts in people's playstyles between preferring offense, preferring defense, that sort of thing, shifts what people focus on and what they learn first, the sorts of problems they tend to encounter as a result, and the sort of different experiences and paths one takes through a game along those lines. So we are going to be doing a little mild introspection and contemplation on that, discussing our considerations relative to it and relative to recent streams where similar concepts have been discussed. You will get less chatting while both Just Fine and myself are fighting, if that does happen, but otherwise it might not be entirely a quiet stream, although what we have to consider is more or less dependent on how things flow. I'm told that my mic is staticky, so I'm checking on that. This might just be how it is, but we'll have to see.
this person was quite antsy.
M. Bison wins.
And if I had to guess, I would guess this person mainly focuses on defense in terms of what they started out training. The reason I think that is more so not necessarily because they had super great reactions or anything, but they were clearly getting to a scenario in which they had a lot of ability to take command through like their dragon punches or try and put me in a scramble situation they might have had more practice with. Unfortunately for them, I also have trained a lot of defense, especially against this type of kin player, and especially very recently against a fairly strong kin in the Buffalo, New York scene. So, it's more so that I just had probably more practice if I had to guess. I consider myself a defensive player for a lot of reasons. Mostly because the things that bring me the most joy come from defensive interactions and footsies, but also because when I get upset or feel down or have difficulty with a certain matchup, my mind will almost always immediately go to how can I not necessarily lose less, but more so like how can I improve the way I reacted to the situation, whether that be mechanical reactions or mental reactions. It's usually mental reactions. And use that to have a better response and get to a different part of this matchup that might go a little better. That is what I consider to be a very typical defensive player response. Rune Siren, on the other hand, is a little more complicated. I would consider her to have some defensive player tendencies. I think we all do. But I mainly consider Rune Siren to be a little more offensive in my book, because when she thinks about the way to resolve problems or come up with a solution to her frustration, it's usually about how can I stop this situation from even happening? How can I manipulate it so that I can use my own cool buttons or ways to approach things? Like this. This whole situation here, this is all just Rune Siren getting to do what she definitely likes doing. That, on the other hand, is me having a lot of training in her habits and going, wait a minute, I don't need to put up with this nonsense. I simply have to stand here and look intimidating at the right time, but still push buttons because I don't want her to think about the fact that I'm not pushing buttons. And that's not necessarily an offense or defense thing, but overall, I have a lot more grounding in terms of what things will put the most stress on me in terms of a defensive reaction, like throw tacking or trying to anti-air or whatever. I'm not necessarily always good at doing these things, especially if